Honestly, it wasn't a bad book. It just wasn't a good one. Praise, because we don't need to be reading all that. I guess that's just me not wanting to move in with a man. Ugh. All of these characters are bad people. God, I love this guy. And I read this book and I'm like, why? And it sucks. It just sucks. All the books that I read this summer. I'll try to pick these up without dropping them, so please don't make fun of me. I read 10 books this summer. May through July. It's August. Happy August, everybody. I read 10 books, which is a lot. It's kind of crazy. I literally didn't do anything this summer except read, obviously. And because I've done this, I feel that I am a booktuber now. So obviously I'm going to do this. It's probably going to be a quick little video or not. You never know with me. It's either 5 minutes or it's 25, so. This is kind of nerve-wracking though, because it's my first video that I'm doing by myself and strictly sitting down in one place the entire time, because every other video I'm out doing something with my friends and I'm not the only one talking. I'm nervous. Goodness gracious, I'm nervous and I'm talking to a camera in my room. Let me just preface right here at the beginning, I read books for fun. Don't even read books that are very challenging. So, because when I don't have a book to read, I'm literally scrolling Instagram reels for hours at a time, and I think I'd rather indulge in a silly little romance book instead of scrolling on Instagram. If you don't like my books, I don't care. I do, but I'm trying not to. Okay, let's start. I started out this summer by reading Babel by R.F. Kuang. If that's how you say her name, I'm so sorry if that's not. I'm gonna give like a structure to each of my reviews. So I'm gonna give you the name, I'm gonna give you what I rated it, and then I'm gonna give you my Goodreads review. So if you want to know what I have been reading since this video, you can follow me on Goodreads. I gave this book 3 stars. Honestly, I didn't really like it. Ooh, not good, because I know this is a very favored book online and people like really liked it, so I had really high hopes for this book. And then I got to like here and I was like, great, the book's over. What more can the plot possibly do? And then there was still this chunk of a book that I had to read where it just went absolutely crazy, which like, it was a good book, it was okay. I'm gonna read you what I wrote on Goodreads now. This book started out really good and I was enjoying it, and when I thought the book ended, there were still like 250 pages to read and there was no need for it to continue for that long. Also, if the author thought that any of her readers had any common sense or were just like not the stupidest people in the world, it would have been better, because she repeated herself so much and it was like, I don't know, kicking a dead dog or something, trying to get the point across. Oh my god. Maybe I was a little dramatic and I was upset that this book went on for so long, but I finished it. Ooh, you can tell where I started skimming it though, because I break the spines of my books, and you can tell right when I started skimming to the end. Honestly, it wasn't a bad book, it just wasn't a good one for me. But I remember the point was being shoved at you over and over and over and over and over again. I don't need to know the reasoning behind it every 5 seconds. It was just a very repetitive book, and for a 530 page book, you don't need to be repetitive. You don't at all. Honestly, for me, based on how much this, honestly talking about this brought up some anger I didn't know I still had. I probably should have just DNF'd the book. My mother watching, DNF is did not finish, or does not finish, so there you go, Mom. And I didn't, and that's, you know what, maybe that's my stubbornness being like, oh, I started the book, I have to finish it now, and you know what, that's on me. Okay, this one's an exciting one. Book 2. The Cruel Prince. I finally cracked down and I read it. I bought this book like 2 years ago because everybody was talking about it and I was like, oh, I want to be a part of this. My roommate Miley, she bought this a while ago and then she finally read it and she's like, hey, you need to read this. It's actually a really good book. And I agree. I gave this 4 stars after this. I had a good streak of getting 5-star books. Look at me go. 4 stars for this. And the only reason I put in my Goodreads review. This was actually so good. I do agree with Miley on Jude, very much like the, oh my god, I hate this guy that's trying to kill me, but he's hot. But honestly, I love it. I did not understand why she wanted so badly to be like, she wanted to be a knight in the fairy realm. But you know, to each their own. I cannot wait to see how the relationship develops because I love an evil man, good-hearted girl duo. Man, what am I talking about? I knew that people loved Cardan from this book, and from this book alone, And from the second book even, I couldn't tell why. And maybe that's because he's the cruel prince and he's supposed to be a bad person, but I just knew, like, later on, everyone's like, oh my god, I love this guy. And I read this book and I'm like, why? Why? He's literally awful. I'm gonna talk about this more at the later in the video, because I may or may not have read the second and third book later this summer, because I missed being part of this world, because the world building was actually really good and I did enjoy that part of it. And I picked up Funny Story because it's an Emily Henry book and I absolutely love almost every Emily Henry book that I read. She's perfect if you just want a quick, easy romance book that's just like good. I knew it was gonna be good because, again, I've heard people talking about it. Honestly, I love this book. I gave this 4 stars and I said she got a beautiful boyfriend in her own place at the end of the story before the epilogue chapter. What could be better? You know what? True. Because every book that I read, it's always like, oh my god, and at the end they move in together. I guess that's just me not wanting to move in with a man. Ugh. Like, she lived with this guy. Like, spoiler alert, that's the plot of the story, is she's living with this guy and then they fall in love. At the end, she's like, I do want to be with you, but we're not moving in together again. And I was like, you know what? Good for you. Because one of my dreams that my mother has instilled in me since I was young, get your own place when you're young. Live on your own. Do something by yourself and then settle down. So she lived by herself for like a year and then she moved in with, what's his face? Miles. Right? Yes! How did I get that? Oh, that's good. All I have to say is People We Meet on Vacation is my favorite Emily Henry book. Still to this day. I'm very excited. I think it's a movie that they're making. Either a movie or a TV show. I'm excited. That's all that matters to me. I should have waited to read because the movie doesn't come out until next year. Next fall, even. Like, literally a year from now. Sunrise on the Reaping. Suzanne, you did it again. I'm sorry if I ever liked A Thirst Trap of Young President Snow because of Tom Blythe. I remember who President Snow is. Thank you. You know what? Yes. Applause for my heart shattering. I gave this a 5 stars. Obviously, you can tell by my reaction, I love The Hunger Games. It's one of my favorite series. It's great, you know, Suzanne only writes when she's got something to say. She obviously had something to say. 5 stars. I actually want to die. Katniss is really him, but luckier. And it sucks. It just sucks. Like, honestly, this is probably one of the books I could go on for days about, like, the actual politics behind it and, like, everything that's going on and how it relates to the US now and whatnot, but, like, I'm not gonna do that because nobody really cares. That's how you know it's gonna be about propaganda. And yes, it was. Shattered me. Like, this is the first book I cried while reading the end of it in a really long time. I read the end of it and I was actually crying. I was sitting on my porch and I was crying. And my mom came out, she's like, are you okay? You know what? I stand by the statement that I heard online that was like, if I was Haymitch, I would have been doing a lot more than just hardcore drinking. Like, I don't know how he put up with anything that he went through and then only did drinking. Just saying. I don't think that it's crazy that he met Effie when he was like 16. Everyone's always like, oh my god, I can't see them like doing. 1, they weren't together in the actual books, and then 2, they only kissed at the end of the 4th movie, and that was when they were like way older. It's not like she met him when she was in her 20s and he was 16 and then like grew up together or whatnot. It's like, no, they just knew each other. I don't think it's a bad thing. You know what? Yeah, I'm sticking by that. I'm putting that in the video. I don't think it's a bad thing that they kissed at the end of that movie. Because I still kind of like them. Complete change of pace. So also, just so you know, that was 4 books that I read between May and June, and then this is everything I read in July. And that's how you know when my job started cutting hours. The Summer of Broken Rules. This has sat on my shelf forever, and I was going to the Keys for the 4th of July. I wanted a cute little summer romance book. So I brought these two, and I finished them within like 2 days of each other. So this one is honestly, I think it's my first 5-star rom-com in a really, really long time. It's so good. I wrote, this is the best rom-com I've ever read in a really long time. I love these characters and I'm going to miss them now that they're gone. And that is true. I still think about Stephen Witry to this day. Every time I listen to Hey Stephen now, I'm thinking about him. It made me long to be a part of a summer like this, to be a part of a big family like this. I still miss them. I miss Meredith and Stephen. I do. It wasn't spicy at all. They kissed a couple times, but anytime they were going to do something, it was like a fade to black. And I honestly praise, because we don't need to be reading all that. You look into the story for, it's Meredith grieving the loss of her sister. And honestly, it's kind of an amazing story. I think everybody should read this. Another quote that I think of when I think of this book, it's not from this book, but it's something that I see online all the time. What is grief if not love persevering? And I think that really just like is the sentiment of this book, and I think it's really good. Thank you. Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. I gave it 4 stars. It was perfect. It was right what I needed. I was reading it in the Keys. It was the 4th of July. It was perfect. Height of summer in Florida. Very hot. You know what? 4 stars. Goodreads says, all caps. I'm not going to be screaming, but it was all caps. It was so good. I love Italy. It was short. It was sweet. To the point. Everything you needed for romance and coming of age. It was what I needed at the time. Also, all the ones that are turned around are books that I haven't read yet. So I get to flip them back around if I've read them. Because I read it in 7th grade, and I didn't appreciate it when I read it, so I read it again. The Outsiders. S.E. Hinton. 5 stars. I forget how good. It's a tiny book. Look at this. It's like 180 pages, so I sat down and I read it in like a day and a half. It was utterly perfection. That's what I gotta say. Thank you. Ralph Macchio. I do not know how I read this book in 7th grade and did not absolutely lose my mind. I'm so glad I went back and read this now that I'm older. I can deeply appreciate what this book is trying to do. I love this so much. It was actually really shocking because I don't give books 5 stars willy-nilly. And I read a bunch of 5-star books this summer. It's kind of crazy. It was good. It was what I needed. It's perfect. I did great at picking out my own books for this summer. Go, Lindsay. Book number 8 of the summer. Ow, my back just cracked. Finally cracked down, and I read The Six of Crows. I'm going to read you my review, and then I'm going to talk about it. 5 stars. Why didn't I read this book sooner? I love Kaz and Inej. I cannot wait to read about this in the second book. I love this. Yep, that's it. I don't know why I pushed off reading this so much. I think it's because in the very first chapter, you're not following any of the characters yet. You're getting, like, the plot, and I was, like, bored. Every time I picked it up. I picked this up, like, 2 or 3 times trying to read it, and I never could get into it. And I finally was, like, cracked down, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read this. I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did. It's a fantastic story. Characters are morally gray. I love a morally gray character. I like, in a fantasy book, when the character is supposed to be, like, super evil and have to kill a bunch of people when they actually have. I was talking about this with my brother the other day, where it's like this character that's supposed to be this like very feared person hasn't done anything that they're supposed to be feared of. Mr. Dirty Hands himself, he is embellished because people tell rumors and rumors spread, and that's how he got, like, everyone's feared of him, but he also does everything that people are saying that he does, so it's like not really that far of a stretch. All of these characters are bad people, and that's what they're supposed to be. I said it sucks that these characters they're like 17, 18 when all this stuff is happening, which is kind of like how it works in like fantasy books, but it still sucks that that's happening. Like, they shouldn't be I'm 20. I could not imagine going through this when I was 17, let alone now, let alone when I'm like 35. Please don't spoil the second book. And you know what, if you made it this far in the video and you're still watching me talk about books, spoil something for me, would you? You know what? Please, because it proves to me that people are actually watching these and I don't have to feel like a goofball sitting in my room talking to myself. Now, these are the last 2 books I read, and I brought The Wicked King with me. I gave this one a 3 stars, but I think it could be 4. It's kind of, I'll give it 3.5. That's what I'll do. I'm so mad I got fooled into thinking he wasn't wicked. Bro, the book is called Wicked King. look. I am easily fooled. If you haven't read this, I'm going to talk a little spoilerly. Whoa, so many times in the book, because she has the power to control Cardan and make him do whatever she wants. She has that power, and so many times in the first half of this book, I could make him do whatever I wanted right now. And then she never does. She never does. Like I could command him to do whatever I wanted. I could command him to do this, and then she never does. She says the same thing over and over and over again. She did in the first book. I'm gonna be a knight. This one, I can control him whenever I want. I would have liked to see her use her persuasive powers more. Like, she was literally right-handed a king. Do something about it. But she never really did. She kind of let him be his own king, which is okay. It's just kind of like there's so much going on in this part of the book, and then you get to the very end and like everything you know just changes, and I'm like, what the hell? I did finish this and then order this book to get here the day I got back from the Keys. If that's all you really need to know. Shocker! It's The Queen of Nothing. Thank you, Holly Black, for writing this. I do know that there is another book in this series. I think it's from Cardan's point of view. I don't really know. I gave this one 3 stars. It was a good book. It was a page turner, but honestly, I didn't really care for the politics. I just wanted to see how the relationship played out. Very true. There was a lot going on at the beginning of this book. There's like, it's very heavy on like people are like going to start fighting each other, and then like the fight's over like kind of in an instant. In the same way that I said Babel was too long, I think this one was too short, because these books are broken up into 2 books essentially, so 2 parts. The first book, really good. I would have given it 5 stars. The second book probably started here. I guess it was about halfway through. It felt like this took up this amount of space and then everything else went really, really fast at the end. It felt very rushed. It could have been 100 pages longer and I wouldn't have complained. There could have been an entire book on this part of the book type of thing. Everything like happened and then it was summed up quickly at the end, and you know what? I'm happy that they got their happily ever after. If that's a spoiler, I'm sorry. I get why people like Cardan after reading this book. I get it. Character growth is something that never really happens in books anymore, and it's really nice to see something happen. Awful. I'd want him here. Maybe he was a cruel prince at one point, but I'd want him as my king, okay? This world that I was a part of, though, I loved every second of it. I got to the end and I was like, I don't want this book to be over. Like, I wanted to slow down, but I also couldn't because I wanted to know what was happening, but I wanted to slow down just to stay in this world a little bit longer. That's everything I read this summer. I'm happy with what I read this summer. Maybe I'll do more updates of trying to read stuff. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog. Who knows? I'm making content that makes me happy, and that's all that matters, right, guys? Thanks, guys. If you made it this far, I love you. I talk to myself all the time in my room, so I'm really hoping Jack doesn't walk in here, but